Okay, day 184. So, I'm reading this book. I'm reading more about Simon Sinek, kind of obsessed with him. And in this Infinite Game book, he describes. It's kind of blowing my mind, but it's like how to think long term and break through barriers and really just like don't take the short way out, like really build something that's worth building, and that'll be around for hundreds of years. And this is kind of like the thought process of how to do that. And last night I was talking to Sean and Benjamin about pitches and cold emailing investors and things. And um, I stumbled across an article that talked about the Airbnb pitch deck, and it got me thinking about the Airbnb pitch deck, which first of all, we took a bunch of notes about like simplicity and um, just what to include and what not to include and things like that. And I'm sure me and Sean will go back and forth about all that pretty soon. But the thing that got me thinking was, on the surface, Airbnb's pitch deck's great, obviously, but ironically, they have a competitor slide, and the competitor slide literally lists a website called bedandbreakfast.com. And so, on one hand, you can say they were literally pitching the same company as one that already exists. And to an investor, you know, you would say, what's so, why are, if you're, if you have a great idea, what's so different between what you're doing and what bedandbreakfast.com is doing in 2008? And this is where Brian, the CEO of Airbnb, would go into a big dialogue about how they know the secret, which is that bedandbreakfast.com and other competitors don't actually accept transactions on their website. They force the host and the um, user to figure out how to pay each other, and that creates a lack of trust, and that lack of trust kind of doesn't allow the system to work. Um, I learned that because that was a YC video that they went through that whole like you need to learn the secret to why something is going to be better or different, than what people would expect. And I mean, all of it's super great, super insightful. But the thing I'm really picking apart right now, that I'm really understanding or really working through, is that um, I think I'm doing a really good job of partnering with Sean and putting myself in the box of how to figure out this problem. Like, I've struggled a lot with like ideas and um, how to find good solutions and how to find like really good ideas. And I'm trying this new thing, partnering with Sean, which is put myself into a very, very small box. I call this like the white stripes model, which is like they only allow 3 colors on their albums. They only allow 3 instruments to be played at any time. Like you have to put yourself in a really tiny box in order to find creativity, find solutions, find a deeper something that's going to be valuable. And I think of this as like the DraftKings and FanDuel model too. They they got so close that they realized that there's a loophole in in betting, which is if it's skill based, then you can do it, and if it's not, if it's chance based, you can't do it. And so if anything, I don't think Brian. I'm making this up, but I don't think Brian, the CEO of Airbnb, knew that for many, many, many months, maybe even years, um, before he realized it by sticking with this idea of air bed and breakfast. And I think it's like if you squash an idea every time you say, A, is there another company out there doing this? Or B, I don't really know the answer to that question right now. Or like the answer to like how to make this $1 billion idea or company. Or C, like I don't know enough about this. Or like um, there's other ideas that are better. Like, I think you end up in this like game of like, um, as soon as you start getting closer to a solution, you quit and move on and try something else. And so I've been really trying to put myself in a box of like, A, I must work with Sean. B, we must build pad stats to be a $1 billion idea, or really really valuable infinite mindset kind of company. Um, and like C, it must be a real estate prop tech SaaS company to start. And that's gonna put me in a really tough box because I'm not super property real estate oriented. Um, and I'm doing a lot of ABCs right now, I guess, but it's not something that I find I'm not super passionate about. I'm not an expert in, and maybe that'll mean why. Then maybe that'll be why we fail. I don't know, but I think it's deeper than that. I guess I'm trying to prove this idea that I have that anyone can build a $1 billion company in anything, as long as they can do this white stripes mentality thing, which is like put themselves into a really small box and say the only way out of this box is to find the unique solution. And the box is real small because you can only have, 3 instruments or 3 colors, or it's in a specific industry, and you have to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper into that industry until you can unlock something that's actually unique and valuable that no one else has really thought about. And in Airbnb's situation, it's the transactions, trust, peace. And I don't know what ours is. I have some ideas, but I'm really enjoying this white stripes mentality because it's forcing me to go deeper and deeper, and I think there's something there too where you actually feel like you're creating something valuable. It's like a puzzle that isn't solved yet versus I think most of my ideas or my thought process so far on companies and growth has been like, how do I find some secret idea no one's thought about, and how do I patent it as soon as possible? And I don't think it's really like that as much as it's like, how do I have so much deep knowledge about the problem and the solution, and many different types of solutions, that I actually become more and more of an expert in that problem and all the different ways that it's possible to solve it, and become so comfortable with the problem that it doesn't feel like something I can walk away from or try something else. It feels like the path to growth and moving forward and learning, and um, it feels like my literal next step in life must come as a result of finding the thing that will solve this problem. That, and this is a Peter Thiel quote, like, this is the thing that is true that most people would not believe. And so I think as entrepreneurs, as small business owners, as people that want to have a startup or be billionaires, I think that's really the thing is, like, you need to realize that is the mentality. Like, you need to go so deep into something that you know more about than anyone else, and have thought more about it than anyone else, and continue to try to find new, unique solutions, loopholes, things that others wouldn't intuitively understand by just thinking about it a little bit. By a little bit, I mean even months, but like, you have to spend years thinking about it and working on it and learning more about it and finding resources in order to find that unique thing. And my working theory is that Airbnb works because they pushed through the first layer of bullshit and found that thing, that secret of the needing to be a third party for the trust aspect. That might have taken them years to do that, and they could have easily quit and moved on to the next idea. At any point, they could have started building apps or whatever, like everyone else was doing in 2008. And I think it's more about, to become a great company and a great idea and a great solution, you have to really power through the problem, like the humanness of yourself, which is to want to quit and move on and try something else and feel like there is no solution, or like feel like all the best solutions are already taken. And and I think it's about just pushing through that more than it's about beating somebody else. I think it's about beating yourself every day at yesterday's solution to the problem. And I think the more you do that, it's kind of like if you sit alone in your room and play guitar every day for 12 hours, eventually, after years, you'll be one of the best guitarists on earth. But people don't do that because they want feedback, and they want growth to be more simple and stair stepping, and I just, the more I read more books about this and YC videos and everything, I'm trying to put together all the pieces, and it really feels like the way out of this problem of how to build a big company or a great company or execute on a really hard problem is more about pushing through the things that aren't possible, or the things you get stuck on, or just really pushing through with your mentality that the only way to build that company is to pick one problem and just beat the crap out of it and find every little possible thing you can possibly find about it, and then eventually you'll become the expert enough to find the trick, find the secret, find the solution. I don't think you should be going and looking for secrets every day as much as you should be building up like your tree of knowledge, like Elon Musk talks about. I think it's more about looking for those little tricks as you learn, and I still haven't found it yet. I'm getting closer, and maybe it'll take, a year or two, I don't know, but we're building the company anyways, so I might as well be looking for the trick that'll make us $1 billion company as we build. Like as I'm coding, I'm still going to code it regardless, because I've committed to doing it. I think that's so far that's been my trick, is commit 1,000 days of your life to this thing, this one problem. And if you can't figure out the trick or the secret unlock button or code after 1,000 days of working on something, maybe it's not there. OpenAI would say it needs to be 2,000. They took like 6 years to get moving. So, but at some point you're so deep into it, you don't see a way out other than through it. And I think the trick is to feel that way as soon as possible, with something, that there's no way out other than through it. And the best thing that I've done so far is get a partner, because that makes me not want to quit, not want to do anything other than get through it, prove myself, to my partner, to everybody, to push myself, to grow, to be uncomfortable. And I just had to take a minute to let all that out because it's been on my mind. But I really think that's the trick. I think Airbnb would have been discovered at some point, but I think it was discovered 10 years ahead of time because Brian and his co-founders pushed through that, let's call it 6 months to a year of not knowing why bedandbreakfast.com isn't growing. Like not knowing why bedandbreakfast.com is just an okay company or whatever. Like I'd be willing to bet that it wasn't something that they just knew immediately, that it took them several months of actually trying on the actual problem and being earnest about it and learning from their customers to actually like hit that thing. They go, oh crap, we have to be the source of trust. We have to be the intermediary. We have to be everything. We can't just be one thing of it, one piece of it. And then they kept going with that despite not knowing if that was a real answer. Just they kept pushing and pushing upon kind of learning that possible solution. They really tested it, really tried it. And I think that's the way forward with pad stats and with every company. I should say with any idea or problem in order to create a company. So lock yourself in a room with that problem and get to every little piece of it. And it's going to take years, but it's there, that I think the hardest part is to trust and believe that it's actually there, sitting there, waiting for you to discover it, you know. But the more books I read, the more optimistic I get that it's there, you know. I just got to discover it. I just got to find it. So, all right, well, that's my brain dump for today. So, hope that was helpful to you or me in the future or something. So, I'll see you later.